In this course, I will continue to work by introducing the lines plan, and in the following process, bringing lines plan to the format you see on the left. I would like to begin to work by introducing the lines plan. In the previous lessons of the lines plan, we talk about the hull of the boat. Since there is a plan creating to show in 2 dimensions, let's take a closer look at this plan. I want to start with the section view. In the section view, half of the sections are on the left, half of it to the right. So, what is the point of showing half on the left and half on the right? The boat is already symmetrical. There is no point in showing the same thing twice. To make it more understandable, do it this in dimensions. I want to show on the model. I click my 3-dimensional Rhino model. Then I see that the boat is already symmetrical. Left side and right side symmetrical. I can delete half of it. From the right view, I can do this comfortably. I choose half the boat, and I deleted half of it by clicking delete. I only have half the boat right now. Then I click Ctrl A to select everything on the screen. So I select all the surfaces and click the section command. When I click the section command, I can get a section at the location I want. In other words, curves will be created to reflect projections of the surfaces at the locations that I have chosen. Let's create a section to the stern, to the middle, to the side near the forecastle, and to the head. Then I press the space key and click OK, and my sections are shown on the screen. Now proceed to the section view. I can show both the sections here on the pier side. Mirror command is a command that you can copy things to another side that you have selected. I click the mirror command. Then I can hit the 0 key, because the boat stops exactly at the 0 point. It will select exactly 0 point to 0. Then I can choose other side. Since we have chosen an extra surface, it also selects this surface. We don't want to select this surface, so let's just select curves. In other words, choose only curve. Here, you can turn off the surface option. When you select it, it will not select any surface on the screen. You may not have the shortcuts here either. You can click the filter button to add the shortcuts. Clicking on filter will open a window and you can pin it to the bottom by dragging it. Then all the options here will be active. Now let's mirror to the other side by selecting curves. I click the mirror command, select 0, mirror to the other side. I have taken the sections currently on the starboard as a mirror to the port side, so we transfer the same to the other side. I delete them by clicking delete, it remains only on the starboard. In fact, this is what we do in sections. This time, let's turn off curve. Let's open surface and select all surfaces by pressing Ctrl A. Then click the hide button to hide all surfaces. Now we have hidden all the surfaces. Actually, if we click right, we can now understand that half of the slice are on the left and half are on the right. Actually, these aren't half sections. Actually, they are full sections, but we don't show it twice because they are the same. Same logic is used in the section view of the lines plan. Now, let's come back to the lines plan. I'm coming to the lines plan. Half of the sections are shown on the left and half on the right. It started at -4. Don't be fooled by the names here. In fact, the names here indicate the locations of the real sections. The boat doesn't actually have that few sections. The boat has a section every 1.2 meters. But here we can see that the distance between the sections is much greater. Don't confuse the section here with the actual frame of the boat, because the sections here are just the ones we use to define the body. In fact, these are not even frame, these are just sections from the certain parts of the boat. The sections will be proceed much more frequently. Section -4 is actually the name of the section. It's called section -4 because there is a section at this exact spot, or it's because section 0 indicates the 0th section. There are actually 3 more sections between 0 and 4, but these 3 pieces of section are not used to promote the hull of the boat. These 3 pieces of section are the real section of the boat. I'm talking about the real section inside the boat. That's why I named the section that way. In blue you can see the stern, the transom and the skeg part. To mention skeg, let's come back to our model for those who don't know. Let's get to the perspective view. I can now delete the curves here. I delete it by pressing Ctrl A and delete. Then I show the hidden object again by clicking show. The skeg you see in a red color, we call this tail-like structure added to the stern of the boat skeg. I'm going back to the lines plan. Here we can see the stern and skeg, they are outlined in blue. At the same time, the endpoint of the deck is indicated in blue. In other words, the blue dots are the border points and they are also indicated in blue for the forecastle. If you want to talk about the writings on the right and the bottom, the waterlines of the boat on the right, so when we actually think in 2 dimensions, waterlines will appear here as a straight line. If I click the 3-dimensional curve plan, then I choose the right aspect, you can see the red waterlines appearing straight here. So all the lines you see in red here are the water. But from the right view, the waterlines appear straight. Actually, that is the purpose of the background grid here. I choose the lines plan, the waterlines are shown in the background again. At the same time, there are buttocks that continue vertically. Buttocks also divide the boat into vertical slices. Coming to our curve plan, we can see that in the vertical direction, the buttock looks like this on the right. Even if you want to look at the buttock in the perspective view, we can say that imaginary curves that divide the boat vertically in the fore and aft direction are buttocks. They start at the head of the boat and continue all the way to the stern. In this way, now back to our lines plan. Buttocks are also numbered from left to right. I also have a diagonal here. Diagonal is a line that surrounds the boat in the fore and aft direction at an angle of the 45 degrees. To look at this from the curve plan, I'm choose the dark. I can see that the diagonal completely surrounds the boat at the angle of the 45 degrees from the waterline where the boat floating. If you look at the diagonal on the right view, it will look like 2 lines drawn at a 45-degree angle. Now, let's go back to lines plan. We talk about sections in detail. At the same time, I want to say that the lines we see in red are our borders. In other words, the center line direction is an imaginary line that divides the boat in the vertical direction exactly in the middle. The lower line is the baseline, which is the position from the lowest point of the boat. In other words, it indicates the 0 point of the boat, it indicates the lowest point. Heights are taken from the 0 point. So, if I want to measure any height, linear dimension command is for measuring linear height. If I want to measure an altitude, I have to measure my heights from baseline. We have talked about sections in detail now. There is nothing extra here. Next, let's get to the profile view. In the profile view, you see the edge of the boat in blue. Come back to our curve plan. I'm going to from right to front view now. You can see that the front view, which is actually 3-dimensional, looks like this is when we view from the side. So, the outer line actually happens like this. So, front apparently has the same curve as here. This is also how the buttocks look here. If you look at the 3-dimensional view, that edge is the blue part. And we can see that the buttocks divide the boat vertically in the fore and aft direction as we mentioned before. When we look at these from the profile view, they look like this to us. Now, let's come back to the lines plan. This is how it is in the lines plan. There is a small mistake here. Maybe you have noticed the mistake. This red line was supposed to be a little lower. When we view from the side, the baseline will be the line indicating the lowest point of the boat. So actually this red line points to L1. I have done this wrong before. It needs to go one step further down the waterline. Let's measure the waterline's distance, the distance between the waterlines. I measured the distance with the linear dimension command, 820 mm. I click on curve here, then I click gumball's arrow, so I could type minus 820. I'm typing minus 820 mm, and when I choose OK, it will move down a bit. Then let's copy the curve here to the bottom. I say copy, I copy the curve to the bottom. Baseline specifies the bottom, as I said, so baseline has to be at the bottom. You can see that the baseline is in the right location right now. The lowest point of the skeg exact intersects the baseline. Apart from that, if you talk about the sections in the profile view, the sections will appear as a straight line. Come back to the curve plan. In fact, the section that looks like this in 3 dimensions, we can see that it appears as a straight line in 2 dimensions. The line you see in orange are our section. Now let's go back to the lines plan. Apart from that, it rests both in a straight line in the direction of water lines pedestal line tag. I can show this again from the curve plan. Although the water lines look like this in the perspective, they will appear as a straight line when we view it from the profile view. So red colored lines you see here are our water lines. Now I'm back to the lines plan again. Apart from that, we can also come to the diagonal in the profile view. What you see in white denotes our diagonal. Now let's come back to our curve plan. Then we can see that what the diagonal looks like here. If we look at the diagonal in perspective view, from the height of DWL at an angle of 45 degrees, we can see that it divides the both in the 4 and F direction. Now I'm back to the lines plan again. Nothing else is left in the profile view, so is the profile view. Now back to the water lines. I'm looking at the water lines right now, my bottom picture. If you look at the water lines from above, they will appear as you see them now. If I choose the curve file, when you look at the water lines from the top view, you can see that it looks exactly the same it was in our plan. Actually, water lines surround the boat in this way, but this is what the water lines look like when viewed from above. Then let's go back to the lines plan and back to the lines plan. The blue line shows us our outer border. So if you need to look at the curve plan again, you can see that the blue colored line looks like this here. And back to the lines plan, other than that, this is how the skeg looks here. The grids you see in the background, sections, will appear in a top view as a straight line. To come back to the curve plan, in the top view, you can see that the sections, the orange colored sections, appear straight. Apart from that, the yellow line indicates the water line where our boat is floating. In other words, it actually refers to the water line at the height of the 4 meters. This is not much different from other water lines. In fact, it just specified the boat's maximum draft. In other words, it actually shows how much water the boat is submerged in. The water can be at most at this point. Above this point, we can no longer add water, because we will design the boat in this way while calculating the weight. Now I'm going back to the lines plan. Also, this is how the diagonal looks here. From the top view, I come back to the curve plan. You can see that diagonal looks like this. And back to the lines plan. The longitudinal buttocks appear as a straight line. Coming back to the curve plan, we can see that buttocks appear as a straight line in the top view. I can now click on a buttocks and I can see it appearing as a straight line. Now, let's go back to the lines plan. Other than that, I can say something about the lines plan. the boundaries in the profile view will overlap with the boundaries in the top view. In other words, if we draw a line exactly from the stern point, the stern will come to this part when viewed from the top. In other words, since it is in the same location in both pictures, the lines we have drawn will indicate the boundaries of the boat. Or, for any waterline, I'm giving an example for L2, you can see that L2 ends exactly at this location. Other than that, I have nothing to say about the lines plan. I have added the main dimensions here. I will share this table with you again. Our main dimensions are our LOA 74 meters. LBP, length between perpendiculary, we won't be using that much. You specify an F-pick and pick 4 point for the boat, and the distance between this F-pick and 4 pick points gives you the LPB. We don't have much to do with the LBP, so we will usually go over the LOA. Bmax refers to the width. The maximum width is 13 meters, the depth is 8.2 meters. Our draft will be in between 4 meters and 0.5 meters, and our displacement will be between 1,500 tons and 1,864 tons. Before I finish this lesson, I can make a few additions. Profile, apparently not DVL specified. The height of DVL was 4 meters. I can use curve here as DVL. I choose copy, then I select the location and type 4000 upwards and click enter. Then let's make the color yellow so that it doesn't interfere. I'm doing yellow and stretch it to the line, and let's stretch the line a bit. You can extend the line in 2 directions using the arrow at the stern of the gumball. Then let's copy the DVL text to the top. Let's scroll down a bit with gumball. If the gumball of the object you have selected is not visible, you should open the gumball from the bottom. Gumball is not visible when the gumball option here is not turned on. So, when we click it, gumball is no longer visible, but when we open gumball, gumball is now displayed. This is how you can turn gumball off and on. Let's make the color of DVL yellow and its text yellow. I come to the object sections, click on the color and choose the yellow color, and the text has become yellow. I can also extend the line denoting the edge of the deck at the top in the direction of the center line. I can do this by holding the point. It will be more accurate to show that this continues until center line. After making these additions, I will continue to move forward by transferring my lines plan to 3 dimensions that is working to come to the format of the picture you see on the left. That's all for this classroom. See you in the next lesson.